You're listening to Puma Podcast.
Hi, I'm Bella Perez Rubio, Puma Podcast, and you're listening to Teka Teka News. In this episode,
The water crisis in the Philippines, and I call it a water crisis because it is. It's something that we have continually postponed. We do not examine it. We do not look at it. Just find other ways and put up with the idea that once in a while we'll have to pull out our buckets and fill our bathtubs with water because there's not going to be water for the next 24 hours.
as the threat of El Nino looms, experts weigh in on the state of water management in the country.
In the light ng climate change at saka ng El Nino, obviously, kailangan pagandaan natin. Yun ang napaka-importante.
That's Congressman Joey Salceda at a forum hosted at Kamuning Bakery in Quezon City. He represents the 2nd District of Albay and chairs the House Ways and Means Committee.
Sa sistema ng Pilipinas, na paggamit ng tubig, hindi o circular. The Philippines has it, but it's how we use it. Yun po talaga ang pinaka-central problem ng tubig para sa atin.
So, what exactly is wrong with the way we manage our water? Listen to some of the issues listed by Congressman Salceda.
Number one, we have stopped building major water infrastructure since the last one was in 2003 na nag-operate San Roque. Of course, water governance is very disjointed. Hindi ko alam kung saan kumukuha ng mga mandato ang naggumagawa ng dam. Pangatlo, water capture systems are not resilient. In fact, most dams are in areas with a dry season for half the year. Wow. So they're very susceptible to El Nino.
Last month, the Weather Bureau warned that there was a 55% chance of El Nino developing in the next 6 months. The El Nino phenomenon is caused by warming ocean temperatures and can lead to dry spells or even droughts.
So shocks in water supply due to El Nino will force more Filipino families in rural areas to either access water from unsafe sources, and for those who have a little money, to buy purified water instead of eating protein.
33% of Filipino households don't have access to running water, according to a social weather station's poll conducted last year. That's about 40 million Filipinos with no access to piped water. Imagine, that's a little less than 3 Metro Manilas.
40% po, ang pinaka-major source ng tubig ng buong household ay actually is not from anyone except water refilling station. Some of them are not very safe. Some areas are more water-scarred than others. Yung mahirap, lalo maghihirap dahil nga po sa lack of access to water.
As a result, many Filipinos run the risk of disease, especially in times of shortage.
8% of Filipino families, including 37% of families in rural areas, do not have access to drinking water that is free from E. coli contamination. In a situation like El Nino, you can just imagine that this El Nino, because of this water situation, because of our water condition, is a hotbed for disease.
A mild El Nino in 2019 led to what Manila Water now calls the most challenging year in its history. The water crisis saw thousands of households in Metro Manila with no running water. But officials have assured that they are better equipped to deal with El Nino this year. Last week, the National Water Resources Board approved a hike in water allocation for the capital region. It's meant to address the daily water interruptions from Maynilad customers. But the solutions we require go beyond El Nino. More on that after a quick break.
I have been to many desert countries where I see the excellent water management.
That's President Marcos speaking at the Water Philippines conference and exposition last month.
I spent some time in Israel and I saw that how they treat the water because water is very scarce. They live in the desert. Nevertheless, they are able to collect the water during the rainy season, whatever is available. They put fish in it to grow fish. When the summer comes, they take it out, take out the water, harvest the fish, and then that goes to irrigation and for. So in essence, they use water 3 times. Every bit of fresh water is used always more than once.
Israel is the world's top water recycler, reusing nearly 90% of its wastewater. Majority of its drinking water is drawn and desalinated from the Mediterranean Sea. Experts say Israel is light years ahead of the rest of the world. So what do other countries do? Here's Future Water Asia CEO Ramon Alicpala. He's a former chairman of the Metropolitan Water Works and Sewage System, or MWSS.
Ang Singapore, they don't even have watersheds.
Oh,
They
wala
don't have
silang
water
tubig.
sources, but they
Yes.
manage. How?
Wala
They have
silang
something
dam.
called the 4-tap system. First, they buy water from
Yes.
Malaysia. Pangalawa, yung drainage nila, about 70%. Their drainage goes to the reservoir. Tayo, we flush out our waters.
Sinasayang
whenever it
natin.
rains. Sinasayang natin. Pangatlo,
Madumi.
Madumi.
they're now doing tinatawag na new water. So even the
Oo.
water from the sewer is treated.
And
It's
drinkable.
treated so well na wala nang natanggal na yung nutrients, so they have to mix it with the reservoir. It's that clean. You can use it for dialysis, ganun, or clean room
Wow.
environments. And the fourth is they're now doing the largest desalination in Southeast Asia.
The Philippines has more natural water sources than both Israel and Singapore, but our water is significantly less well managed.
Tayo may watersheds, tayo may rainfall. Water kasi is taken for granted.
Oo nga.
We only talk about water pag
Mainit yung panahon.
magkaka-shortage, pag mainit, tapos pag may ulan, nakalimutan na. It's not an issue of scarcity. It's an issue of management.
So what needs to be done? Albay Representative Joey Salceda filed a bill proposing the creation of a Department of Water Resources. It's a measure that's been backed by both President Marcos and former MWSS Chair Alicpala.
With the creation of a Department of Water, first of all, we now have an agency that's responsible for water. But what it also opens up is it now provides synergies among the different users of water. Can we find synergies between wastewater and irrigation, for example? Can we find synergies between water supply and hydropower? So hindi na siloed siya. We can look for opportunities, cross-cutting opportunities among these different areas.
The bill is currently at the committee level in both chambers of Congress.
Kaya importante po na yung fragmentation ng paggamit ng tubig may sa ilalim natin, ma-integrate at ma-consolidate natin sa isang Department of Water Resources at mapasiguro na meron nung magbabantay para sa interest po ng consumer sa pag-create po ng water resource.
Here's Congressman Joey Salceda with the final word.
Ang nakakabisi talaga dito sa sitwasyon sa tubig ay dahil kung sino pa mahirap, siya po yung walang access. So, nakalagay po dun sa batas very clear that water belongs to all.
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka News. Again, I'm Bella Perez Rubio. This episode was edited by Pedoy Blanco. If you like this episode, share it with a friend or two. And don't forget to follow Teka Teka News and Puma Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. At para sa mga mahilig manood sa YouTube, Puma Podcast na rin po kami doon. Just search Puma Podcast and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for listening.